You're listening to 91 Reasons, a journey into the twisted landscape of pop culture. Keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times. And now, the voice, Jeff Tucker.
One of the very cool highlights of going to Comic-Con and some of the other conventions, but most notably Comic-Con, is, they have all of the movie companies there promoting the latest, greatest, whatever, and comics and cosplay and toys and this and that and exclusives that are, cause fist fights. One of the cooler things that I enjoy is there's always a booth from the prop store. They're a company located in the Valley and in London, and they are a broker of movie props. And at Comic-Con, they always bring out the most amazing, iconic pieces you've ever seen. I've seen a hoverboard there. I've seen Batman's cowl from 1989. Some of lightsabers and Ewoks and just amazing props. You just can't believe what you're looking at. The people there are always really nice. And they do have a Facebook page, which I've been lucky enough to actually win a couple of contests through them. So I know that they're very fan-friendly. And I go on their site, their propstore.com site, every once in a while, just to see what's for sale. And eventually I'm going to buy something. But see, I'm really particular. Now, as far as winning a contest, it doesn't matter what the prize is. I think I won a Breaking Bad shirt. And I gave it to somebody who likes that show. I'm not into that show, so it didn't really do anything for me. But as far as buying a prop, there are certain props and costumes, wardrobe pieces I'm constantly on the lookout for. So far, Prop Store has not had it. This is going to seem so dumb, but last year, during a particularly rough financial period, a piece of wardrobe, more than one, showed up on eBay, and I simply didn't have the money for it. And it was under $100, but it was just one of those things where, we've all been there. I don't have the money. And it was one of the tupas, the white cloaks from Albert Brooks' Defending Your Life. Somebody must have hit a mother load of like 10 or 20 of these, because I know for the movie there were hundreds made. I just want one. I just want to wear it because I really dig that movie, and I'm always on the lookout for props from movies that mean a lot to me. The other prop I'm always on the lookout for, and I don't know if any are in private hands because I've never seen them listed for sale anywhere, and that's, I really want one of the invitations from The Count of Monte Cristo, the 2001 version. They're beautiful, black with gold lettering. It's one of the highlights of the movie is when he sends out the invitations for his big coming out party. And man, oh man, what I wouldn't do to have one of those. Other things, obviously, I'd like to have any prop associated or wardrobe from Winona Ryder. I've actually had a Winona Ryder outfit. I had one of her outfits from Mermaids, and I actually sold it. We needed the money. One of those things. I wish I could have kept it. Mermaids has emerged years later as arguably her best film, my favorite film. I do like Heathers quite a bit. Beetlejuice, of course. But for some reason, Mermaids there's something about her performance, Bob Hoskins' performance, all the other actors, Cher, Christina Ricci, Michael Sheffling. Michael Sheffling's last film. Jake Ryan himself retired after that. But I'm always on the lookout for that kind of stuff. And Prop Store, occasionally, I think right now they have there was a clapboard from a film called Simone. You've probably never even heard of Simone. Simone's a movie with Al Pacino. Al Pacino creates a simulated actress named Simone, Simulation 1, and he does it because he's fed up with working with people like Winona Ryder. It's very funny. Andrew Niccol wrote it, I believe, the guy who wrote The Truman Show. He also directed it. But I'm always on the lookout, you know. I would love to have a collection of amazing movie props, but that's an expensive hobby, a very expensive hobby. But to that end, Prop Store has been running almost every week for at least 2 or 3 months, an ongoing rolling auction of Rick Baker's personal stuff from Rick Baker's warehouse. If you don't know who Rick Baker is, why are you listening to this show? But for those who may be scratching their heads, and there's got to be maybe one, Rick Baker is the name in movie makeup monsters, along with Stan Winston, Rob Bottin. There's a whole host of names. But Rick Baker cut his teeth in the 70s, late 60s, did a little work on the Cantina. Most notably, he's known for Werewolves and Gorillas. One of the truly geniuses of film. Creates stuff that shouldn't exist, and yet it does. Harry for Harry and the Hendersons, Gorillas in the Mist, The Grinch, you name it. But I've been looking on that auction listings all the time, because sometimes in an auction, you just if you shop on eBay, you know that auction. I mean, if it's something you really want, you're going to end up paying through the nose for it. Like, people just jack up the price out of the stratosphere. I don't win a lot of eBay auctions because I just get irritated. Just tell me what you want for it. Let me pay for it. These are different. I mean, you're bidding with people around the world. I tried to convince my wife to let me buy a set of fangs from Bram Stoker's Dracula. You know where I'm going with this. Winona Ryder's teeth were on the auction, but she looked at me like I was crazy for wanting something like that. And yes, I am crazy for wanting something like that, but you know, the collector's heart wants what the collector's heart wants. I didn't get it. I'm not even sure what it closed for. The thought of unwrapping it and going, "Look, honey," and seeing her face like, "You sick man." I didn't buy it. But I have kept my eye on it, and a reason I've kept my eye on it, on those auctions, is sometimes they have big items. And I'm not talking like, a big monkey head. I'm talking about Rick Baker did all the work on Gremlins 2. So they've had a lot of Gremlins from that film that are connected to giant metal rigs to puppeteer them. There's a couple of shots in Gremlins 2 of a CGI gizmo, but for the most part, they were all practical. He took over from Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace did Gremlins and The Fly. This is my nerd growing up in the 80s of wanting to work in special effects for a while. It was my hobby and my passion. So seeing this stuff and knowing Prop Store they're not around the corner, but they're within driving distance, that if I want something, I could ace the shipping and it wouldn't cost double what you bid on it. That being said, I've been watching those auctions. All of those Gremlins things go much higher than I'm willing to pay, which is amazing to me, because if you're looking at a Mogwai puppet that sells for $1,200 that's connected to a giant metal rig, the person's going to pay $1,200 additionally in shipping. That's crazy to me. But, if Gremlins is your thing, this is your chance. I get it. So to that end, I bid on a lot of technical crew clothing, and it seemed like too good to be true, because it was 7 pieces of Rick Baker's crew clothing, and when I bid on it, it was only $100. So I let it sit for a while, thinking, "Oh, I'll get outbid," and I knew I'd get outbid because the 7 items in there were 2 Men in Black makeup sweatshirts. The makeup crew was given sweatshirts with the logo of the film on it. So 2 of those. A t-shirt to the Rick Baker Halloween party from 1998, of all times. A Academy Award nominee sweatshirt for Ed Wood. Like, that surprised me because originally I thought it was just like an Academy Award sweatshirt, which is rare in itself because the Academy doesn't let a lot of that stuff get out into the public. And when it does, it sells pretty quickly. I know I found once an Academy Award hat with the Oscar statue embroidered on it, and that sold within an hour of listing it. So this is a nominee sweatshirt, and up until a few years ago, if you were nominated for an Oscar, one of the many things you got as a perk was a sweatshirt. So I actually have Rick Baker's Academy Award nominee sweatshirt, 1994, for his work on Ed Wood, which he actually won the Oscar for. Like, oh my God. So I also got a jacket from the movie Wolf. It's again, these are hard to believe these movies are not well known. Jack Nicholson, Michelle Pfeiffer, James Spader, directed by Mike Nichols. It's about a middle-aged man who finds himself turning into a werewolf, so of course Rick Baker did the makeup for. The jacket's very nice. It has the wolf logo on it, and around the bottom edge it has the phases of the moon, which is like, oh, that's a nice touch. I also got I bid on an Ed Wood sweatshirt with just the logo of the film on it and flying saucers. And then the final piece was a Haunted Mansion bathrobe. Beautiful, full-length black plush bathrobe, Haunted Mansion logo on the pocket, and a note saying, "Thanks for a great shoot. Peace, Eddie." A personal gift from Eddie Murphy to the crew. So when I looked at these 7 items, I'm trying to think, like, what would somebody pay for each item? And I got into nearly $1,000 because I think some of this stuff's pretty amazing. So I put that bid on thinking someone's going to look at it. I'm going to get outbid. But in an auction where the listings are Hellboy's face and the Grinch's eyes and Eddie Murphy's fat suit from The Nutty Professor and the Clumps, I think this just got lost in the shuffle. So I got an email saying I had won. I thought I was getting an email saying, hey, too bad, you lost. But I actually won the auction, and I was really shocked. I don't win those things. I don't have that kind of money, which $100 is not that much. I would have loved to have spent it on that Defending Your Life prop last year, but it wasn't in the cards. So I contacted Prop Store saying, yes, I had won the item. Can I come pick it up? And, they said, yeah, I guess, sure. So last week, I drove out to Chatsworth, which from where I am is the middle of nowhere. And I had to, I had to drop Rachel off at work and then drive up there, which without traffic, it should have taken about 45 minutes. But if you live in California, if you know you're going through Los Angeles, through the valley, beyond the Valley of the Dolls, this took 2+ hours. By the time I got anywhere near this place, I was exhausted. I had to go pee-pee, and I had to eat, and I was nodding off on the freeway, and I was thinking, like, I'm gonna die over this Rick Baker wardrobe stuff. So I pulled over to a Target, and I got an iced coffee or something to like zap myself back awake. And eventually I found Prop Store. Prop Store is in Chatsworth. It's in an industrial park at the very, very end, at an unmarked building. There's no sign on the door. And I parked and I thought, oh God, what if it's not the place? What if I've got the wrong address? What if they say, get out of here, kid, you got no talent? I just don't know if I could take that kind of a rejection. But like Doc Brown says, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. So I got out, I knocked on the door, and a guy opened the door like, what do you want? And I said, I'm here for it. And I said, I hope I have the right place. Oh, hey, that's Harry's head from Harry and the Hendersons on that shelf. I think I'm at the right place. Is this Prop Store? He welcomed me in and said, hey, that the items you got are in the warehouse, so it's going to be a while. We got to go dig it out. But have a look around. And I thought, look around, sure. So I was in the entryway, and I noticed that they have stuff on the walls, and I assume it's stuff on the walls that maybe didn't sell, because there's nicely, beautifully mounted items. Maybe they're for sale somewhere, and they're just on the wall until somebody buys them. I don't know. But one of them was a clapperboard from Mel Gibson's Apocalypto. And the funniest one was a beautiful, it's sad that sometimes beautiful props are with, clunkers of movies. And that's not their fault. I mean, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is terrible. And the giant car that Tom Sawyer drives is pretty cool. That being said, seeing one of Robin Batarang things from Batman and Robin is cool, but I can see why it probably isn't going to sell for $600 or $700. The movie just isn't that, people don't want crap from that movie. They also had one of the flying discs that the Batmobile shoots out in Batman Returns. Like I said, I saw the head from Harry and the Hendersons. Beautiful set of storyboards from The Empire Strikes Back of the duel. No, it might have been Jedi. I think it was Jedi's duel. And then some nice frame pictures of Rick Baker with some of the items that were sold through an auction, a bigger auction. Bigger items, like he did all the stuff on the practical stuff on Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, and those sequels. I saw some stuff that only a nerd like me would even know what it is. The guy had a completely ridiculous mask on a stand, and I looked at it for a while, and I remember it's I think it's from Freaked, the Alex Winter movie, and I was shocked at how good a condition it was still in after all these years. Maybe it was something else. I don't know. But that's what it looked like to me. And then I went into the bigger showroom where these guys are all working. They're listing items on the website. And they were training new people. And they're working. And then there's just me. And I look like Charlie walking through the chocolate factory. Like the Oompa Loompas are just working. That's just another day at the office. And I'm like, do you guys know that's the Nostromo from Alien right there? The Nostromo from Alien. It was as big as a car. And it took up the whole corner of the showroom. And I was like, oh, and just, for a guy like me who grew up with these movies, the model work is so beautiful and so nice. This thing was massive. I don't know what you do with it. I don't know who collects something like this. But it was just beautiful. Sitting next to that was the Enterprise D. I'm not sure which production it was from, but that's the Next Generation Enterprise. Just below it was an unfinished Rocketeer helmet, which, if you know, I love the Rocketeer. I love the design. I love Dave Stevens' art. I'm a fan of the movie, even though I think it's flawed, but I do love the design of that helmet and backpack. So seeing it was like, oh, because I just ordered one off of eBay. Some guy makes beautiful reproductions, and it's supposed to come in the mail in like another. I'm like, 6 to 8 weeks it'll be in the mail. I'm like, oh, is it here yet? Here's your stupid spy. Is this my spy camera lady? I feel like The Simpsons. But there was also what you call a director's chair, but this one was for an executive producer. It was George Lucas's executive producer chair. I have no idea what production, but I was like, oh, it's George Lucas's chair. This is where he sits and drinks his coffee, in this chair. They had cases all along the wall. And what was so interesting is these guys are trying to work. And I'm standing there and I'm silent, not silently, but softly, like saying the F word, like, holy F. Oh my God, look at that. Each thing I saw was more amazing than the next. There was some masks from a movie called Two Guns, Denzel Washington. I saw, it's really weird to see pieces of the Death Star. Star Wars, A New Hope, 1977. They had some turrets. They had pieces of the Death Star. And it's just so unusual because A, it's old. And B, I know how incredibly rare real Star Wars stuff is to get. They also had the head of an AT-AT, which just, I just stared at it for a while. Like, that's an AT-AT. That thing that I idolized as a kid is made flesh right there. That's it. There was I'm doing this all from memory. That I didn't want to take pictures while I was there. I thought it would be rude. I mean, these guys are working. There was a full-size Predator, a full-size Predalien from Aliens vs. Predator. There was various guns. And then, like, in between two of the cases, there was a sword. And I thought, oh, that's a cool sword. Oh, my God. It's Mel Gibson's sword from Braveheart. The one that sticks in the ground that's like the poster. Like his Highlander sword is just right there. That was just so weird to me. Oh my God. I saw the Fight Club soap, which is only used in the commercial. If you've ever seen the old Fight Club teasers that ends with them slapping the soap with the logo down into a soap dish, they had that piece of soap because it's not in the movie. But like it's from the ad campaign. They had the piece of paper with Rorschach's design on it that flies by in the opening credits of The Watchmen. Like it took me a second. Like I know exactly what that is. I know what that is. I know exactly what that is. They had the Golden Compass from the Golden Compass. Again, a flawed movie, but the prop was beautiful. $15,000, and you could own the alethiometer from the Golden Compass. Beautifully made, inside and out. I was in awe. It was bigger than I thought it was. Just beautiful. And I'm such a fan of those books that even though the movie was not up to the standards of the books, I still enjoy seeing something like that made real. There was some Hellboy stuff from the Rick Baker auction. There was something really funny in the corner that only like a really uber nerd would get. So of course I got it. It was a big contraption, and I thought, well, that looks a lot like the Dykstraflex camera that we see on the Star Wars trading cards from 1978. And when I got closer, it was the Dykstraflex camera, the one that they show skimming the surface of the Death Star to film the explosions. I was like, first off, I'm amazed that it's there, and second, I'm so embarrassed at myself for knowing exactly what it was in an instant. I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff that was there. There was the dish, just the saucer section of the Enterprise D in one of the cabinets. There was just for a guy like me, it was a candy store. You know, I love all that stuff. In the other room, they were taking pictures for Wardrobe from the Seventh Son. You probably don't remember that. It was the Jeff Bridges film that came out last winter. It didn't do much. But Prop Store was a great place, great guys. They got my stuff. They checked it out. It was all beautifully folded and well taken care of. If you're looking for a prop or you want to give somebody a gift that's completely original, I would check out Prop Store because they do have a lot of stuff that's very nicely priced, and it's not like going down to Target or to the mall. Like, this is the real deal of production use stuff, whether it's an actual prop or a piece of wardrobe from a movie or behind the scenes stuff like a hat with the film's logo on it, or a sweatshirt, or a clapboard, or a chair. Movie fans, and I can speak for movie fans, we dig that stuff. And if you were to buy somebody something like that, it would show like you're going the extra mile. So I'm going to keep watching those Rick Baker auctions because after getting such a good deal on an item or a set of items, you never know what's going to come around the bend there. So again, big thanks to everybody who runs Prop Store. It's always nice to meet you guys at cons and see what you've dug up to show us that we can drool over. Some of the stuff is just, you just can't believe it still exists, and that thing you admired as a kid in those movies, like Wonka bars or golden tickets or everlasting gobstoppers, like they're real and you could actually own one. You could own one. That's the greatest. And that's something that CGI will never be able to replicate, is the actual screen-used wardrobe and props, you know, from your iconic films. And if you happen to see a Defending Your Life Tupa, please, for the love of God, let me know. Or an invitation from the Count of Monte Cristo, please let me know. The other props I want, I've seen plenty of. I'd love to have a lightsaber. I know exactly how to get a lightsaber. If you want any of that stuff. But those two I'm having trouble finding. I would love to get a copy of. I'd also love to get anything from Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael, just because it's so bizarre. But I think all that stuff's just gone with the wind, man. It's just scattered to the winds. So, again, check out Prop Store. I'll put the link on the Facebook page. Check out their Facebook page. Cool guys, cool stuff. What could you ask for? You couldn't ask for anything more. Thanks for tuning in. Leave us a review on iTunes. Check us out on Patreon. We just became available on Google Play. So if you have Google Play Music, I jumped through every hoop I could think of to get the show on Google Play Music, and I was successful. So check out Google Play Music, and what do you search? 91 Reasons.
Thanks for listening to 91 Reasons. Please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. Find us on Facebook. Is anyone even still listening?
You are wealthier than any man I have ever heard of. Whatever your problems were, they are over. What do you want to buy?
Revenge.